ওয়েলকাম টু ব্যাক মাই চ্যানেল। আমি সুজয়, আবার চলে এসেছি আজকে নতুন একটি ভিডিও নিয়ে। হ্যাঁ বন্ধুরা, টাইটেল দেখে তোমরা বুঝতে পারছো আজকের বিষয়বস্তু RPWD অ্যাক্ট 2016 পার্ট 3। আজকে আমরা 15 নম্বর পেজ থেকে 21 নম্বর পেজ পর্যন্ত শুনবো। অবশ্যই প্রথম পার্ট এবং দ্বিতীয় পার্ট চ্যানেলে আপলোড করা রয়েছে, আপনারা চাইলে চ্যানেল থেকে দেখে নিতে পারেন। অবশ্যই ভিডিওটি ভালো লাগলে লাইক করবেন, কমেন্ট করবেন এবং ভিডিওটি অন্যকে দেখতে প্রচুর পরিমাণে শেয়ার করবেন। আর সাবস্ক্রাইব করে আমাদের সাথে থাকবেন, পাশে থাকা বেল আইকনটি বাজিয়ে দেবেন, নোটিফিকেশনটি অন করে দেবেন, যাতে পরবর্তী ভিডিওর নোটিফিকেশান সবার আগে আপনার কাছে পৌঁছে যায় যখনই আমি চ্যানেলে কোনো ভিডিও আপলোড করব। তো চলো শুরু করা যাক। আজকের বিষয় RPWD অ্যাক্ট 2016 ইংলিশ ভার্সন পার্ট 3 পেজ 15 to 21। বাট আমি TTS ইউজ করছি দৃষ্টিহীনদের জন্য, কারণ আমি একজন নিজে দৃষ্টিহীনদের সুবিধার্থে আমি TTS ব্যবহার করছি, যেখানে পেজ 1, 2, 3 এভাবে বলবে, 15, 16, 17 এভাবে বলবে না। তো চলো শুনতে থাকো আজকের বিষয়বস্তু।
Replay page 1, Sec 1, The Gazette of India Extraordinary. 15. C. Foster respect for the decisions made by persons with disabilities on all matters related to family life, relationships, bearing and raising children. D. Provide orientation and sensitization at the school, college, university and professional training level on the human condition of disability and the rights of persons with disabilities. E. Provide orientation and sensitization on disabling conditions and rights of persons with disabilities to employers, administrators and co-workers. Ensure that the rights of persons with disabilities are included in the curriculum. In universities, colleges and schools. 40. The central government shall, in consultation with the Chief Commissioner, Accessibility, formulate rules for persons with disabilities laying down the standards of accessibility for the physical environment, transportation, information and communications, including appropriate technologies and systems, and other facilities and services provided to the public in urban and rural areas. 41. 1. The appropriate government shall take suitable measures to provide facilities for persons with disabilities at bus stops, railway stations and airports conforming to the accessibility standards relating to parking spaces, toilets, ticketing counters and ticketing machines. B. Access to all modes of transport that conform the design standards, including retrofitting old modes of transport, wherever technically feasible and safe for persons with disabilities, economically viable and without entailing major structural changes in design. C. Accessible roads to address mobility necessary for persons with disabilities. 2. The appropriate government shall develop schemes programs to promote the personal mobility of persons with disabilities at affordable cost to provide for
biggest regret, smirk not grabbing 20% off asterisk. Tap to grab now, airplane.
Incentives and concessions. B. Retrofitting of vehicles, and C. Personal mobility assistance. 42. The appropriate government shall take measures to ensure that access to transport by all contents available in audio, print and electronic media are in accessible format. Access to information and communication. Persons with disabilities have access to electronic media by providing audio technology, description, sign language interpretation and closed captioning. Electronic goods and equipment which are meant for everyday use are available in universal design. 43. The appropriate government shall take measures to promote development, production and distribution of universally designed consumer products and accessories for general use for persons with disabilities. 44. 1. No establishment shall be granted permission to build any structure if the building plan does not adhere to the rules formulated by the central government under Section 40. 2. No establishment shall be issued a certificate of completion or allowed to take occupation of a building unless it has adhered to the rules formulated by the central government. 45. 1. All existing public buildings shall be made accessible in accordance with the rules formulated by the central government within a period not exceeding 5 years from the date of notification of such rules, provided that the central government may grant extension of time to the states on a case-to-case basis for adherence to this provision depending on their state of preparedness and other related parameters. Consumer goods. Mandatory observance of accessibility norms. Time limit for making existing infrastructure and premises accessible and action for that purpose. Page 2. Time limit for accessibility by service providers. Human resource. 16. The Gazette of India Extraordinary. Part 2. 2. The appropriate government and the local authorities shall formulate and publish an action plan based on prioritization for providing accessibility in all their buildings and spaces, providing essential services such as all primary health centers, civil hospitals, schools, railway stations and bus stops. 46. The service providers, whether government or private, shall provide services in accordance with the rules on accessibility formulated by the central government under Section 40 within a period of 2 years from the date of notification of such rules, provided that the central government in consultation with the Chief Commissioner may grant extension of time for providing certain category of services in accordance with the said rules. 47. 1. Without prejudice to any function and power of Rehabilitation Council of India constituted under the Rehabilitation Council of India Act, 1992, the appropriate government 34 of 1992, development, shall endeavour to develop human resource for the purposes of this Act and to that end. Social audit. Competent authority. Registration. Shall mandate training on disability rights in all courses for the training of Panchayati Raj members, legislators, administrators, police officials, judges and lawyers. B. Induct disability as a component for all education courses for schools, colleges and university teachers, doctors, nurses, paramedical personnel, social welfare officers, rural development officers, ASHA workers, Anganwadi workers, engineers, architects, other professionals and community workers. C. Initiate capacity building programs including training in independent living and community relationships for families, members of community and other stakeholders and care providers on caregiving and support. D. Ensure independence training for persons with disabilities to build community relationships on mutual contribution and respect. E. Conduct training programs for sports teachers with focus on sports, games, adventure activities. Any other capacity development measures as may be required. 2. All universities shall promote teaching and research in disability studies including establishment of study centers for such studies. 3. In order to fulfill the obligation stated in subsection 1, the appropriate government shall in every 5 years undertake a need-based analysis and formulate plans for the recruitment, induction, sensitization, orientation and training of suitable personnel to undertake the various responsibilities under this Act. 48. The appropriate government shall undertake social audit of all general schemes and programs involving the persons with disabilities to ensure that the scheme and programs do not have an adverse impact upon the persons with disabilities and meet the requirements and concerns of persons with disabilities. Chapter IX. Registration of institutions for persons with disabilities and grants to such institutions. 49. The state government shall appoint an authority as it deems fit to be a competent authority for the purposes of this chapter. 50. Save as otherwise provided under this Act, no person shall establish or maintain any institution for persons with disabilities except in accordance with a certificate of registration issued in this behalf by the competent authority, provided that an institution for care of mentally ill persons, which holds a valid license under Section 8 of the Mental Health Act, 1987 or any other act for the time being in force, 14 of 1987, shall not be required to be registered under this Act. Page 3. Sec. 1. The Gazette of India Extraordinary. 17. 51. 1. Every application for a certificate of registration shall be made to the competent authority in such form and in such manner as may be prescribed by the state government. 2. On receipt of an application under subsection 1, the competent authority shall make such inquiries as it may deem fit, and on being satisfied that the applicant has complied with the requirements of this Act and the rules made thereunder, it shall grant a certificate of registration to the applicant within a period of 90 days of receipt of application, and if not satisfied, the competent authority shall, by order, refuse to grant the certificate applied for. Provided that before making any order refusing to grant a certificate, the competent authority shall give the applicant a reasonable opportunity of being heard, and every order of refusal to grant a certificate shall be communicated to the applicant in writing. 3. No certificate of registration shall be granted under subsection 2 unless the institution with respect to which an application has been made is in a position to provide such facilities and meet such standards as may be prescribed by the state government. 4. The certificate of registration granted under subsection 2. It shall, unless revoked under section 52, remain in force for such period as may be prescribed by the state government. B. May be renewed from time to time for a like period, and C. Shall be in such form and shall be subject to such conditions as may be prescribed by the state government. 5. An application for renewal of a certificate of registration shall be made not less than 60 days before the expiry of the period of validity. 6. A copy of the certificate of registration shall be displayed by the institution in a conspicuous place. 7. Every application made under subsection 1 or subsection 5 shall be disposed of by the competent authority within such period as may be prescribed by the state government. Application and grant of certificate of registration. 52. 1. The competent authority may, if it has reason to believe that the holder of a revocation of certificate of registration granted under subsection 2 of section 51 has registration, made a statement in relation to any application for the issue or renewal of the certificate which is incorrect or false in material particulars, or committed or has caused to be committed any breach of rules or any conditions subject to which the certificate was granted. It may, after making such inquiry, as it deems fit, by order, revoke the certificate. Provided that no such order shall be made until an opportunity is given to the holder of the certificate to show cause as to why the certificate of registration shall not be revoked. 2. Where a certificate of registration in respect of an institution has been revoked under subsection 1, such institution shall cease to function from the date of such revocation, provided that where an appeal lies under section 53 against the order of revocation, such institution shall cease to function. Where no appeal has been preferred immediately on the expiry of the period prescribed for the filing of such appeal, or where such appeal has been preferred, but the order of revocation has been upheld, from the date of the order of appeal. 3. On the revocation of a certificate of registration in respect of an institution, the competent authority may direct that any person with disability who is an inmate of such institution on the date of such revocation shall be restored to the custody of his or her parent, spouse or lawful guardian, as the case may be, or page 4. Appeal. Act not to apply to institutions established or maintained by central or state government. Assistance to registered institutions. Guidelines for 18. The Gazette of India Extraordinary. Part 2. Be transferred to any other institution specified by the competent authority. For every institution which holds a certificate of registration which is revoked under this section shall, immediately after such revocation, surrender such certificate to the competent authority. 53. 1. Any person aggrieved by the order of the competent authority refusing to grant a certificate of registration or revoking a certificate of registration may, within such period as may be prescribed by the state government, prefer an appeal to such appellate authority as may be notified by the state government against such refusal or revocation. 2. The order of the appellate authority on such appeal shall be final. 54. Nothing contained in this chapter shall apply to an institution for persons with disabilities established or maintained by the central government or a state government. 55. the appropriate government may, within the limits of their economic capacity and development, grant financial assistance to registered institutions to provide services and to implement the schemes and programs in pursuance of the provisions of this Act. Chapter X. Certification of Specified Disabilities. 56. The central government shall notify guidelines for the purpose of assessing the assessment of extent of specified disability in a person. Specified disabilities. Designation of certifying authorities. Procedure for 57. 1. The appropriate government shall designate persons, having requisite qualifications and experience, as certifying authorities, who shall be competent to issue the certificate of disability. 2. The appropriate government shall also notify the jurisdiction within which and the terms and conditions subject to which the certifying authority shall perform its certification functions. 58. 1. Any person with specified disability may apply, in such manner as may be certification prescribed by the central government, to a certifying authority having jurisdiction for issuing of a certificate of disability. Appeal against a decision of certifying authority. 2. On receipt of an application under subsection 1, the certifying authority shall assess the disability of the concerned person in accordance with relevant guidelines notified under section 56, and shall, after such assessment, as the case may be, issue a certificate of disability to such person, in such form as may be prescribed by the central government. B. Inform him in writing that he has no specified disability. 3. The certificate of disability issued under this section shall be valid across the country. 59. 1. Any person aggrieved with decision of the certifying authority may appeal against such decision, within such time and in such manner as may be prescribed by the state government, to such appellate authority as the state government may designate for the purpose. 2. On receipt of an appeal, the appellate authority shall decide the appeal in such manner as may be prescribed by the state government. Page 5. Sec. 1. The Gazette of India Extraordinary. Chapter 11. 19. Central and State Advisory Boards on Disability and District Level. Committee. 60. 1. The central government shall, by notification, constitute a body to be known as the Central Advisory Board on Disability to exercise the powers conferred on, and to perform the functions assigned to it, under this Act. 2. The Central Advisory Board shall consist of the Minister in charge of Department of Disability Affairs in the central government, chairperson, ex officio. B. The Minister of State in charge dealing with Department of Disability Affairs in the Ministry in the central government, vice chairperson, ex officio. C. 3 members of Parliament, of whom 2 shall be elected by Lok Sabha and 1 by the Rajya Sabha, members, ex officio. D. The Ministers in charge of disability affairs of all states and administrators or lieutenant governors of the Union Territories, members, ex officio. E. Secretaries to the Government of India in charge of the ministries or departments of disability affairs, social justice and empowerment, school education and literacy, and higher education, women and child development, expenditure, personnel and training, administrative reforms and public grievances, health and family welfare, rural development, Panchayati Raj, industrial policy and promotion, urban development, housing and urban poverty alleviation, science and technology, communications and information technology, legal affairs, public enterprises, youth affairs and sports, road transport and highways and civil aviation, members, ex officio. Secretary, National Institute of Transforming India, Niti Aayog. Member, ex officio. G. Chairperson, Rehabilitation Council of India, member, ex officio. H. Chairperson, National Trust for the Welfare of Persons with Autism, Cerebral Palsy, Mental Retardation and Multiple Disabilities, member, ex officio. I. Chairman cum Managing Director, National Handicapped Finance Development Corporation, member, ex officio. Chairman cum Managing Director, Artificial Limbs Manufacturing Corporation, member, ex officio. K. Chairman, Railway Board, member, ex officio. 1. Director General, Employment and Training, Ministry of Labour and Employment, member, ex officio. M. Director, National Council for Educational Research and Training, member, ex officio. and Chairperson, National Council of Teacher Education, member, ex officio. 0. Chairperson, University Grants Commission, member, ex officio. P. Chairperson, Medical Council of India, member, ex officio. 4. Directors of the following institutes. I. National Institute for the Visually Handicapped, Dehradun. E. National Institute for the Mentally Handicapped, Secunderabad. E. Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay Institute for the Physically Handicapped, New Delhi. IV. Ali Yava Young National Institute for the Hearing Handicapped, Mumbai. Constitution of Central Advisory Board on Disability. Page 6. Terms and 20. The Gazette of India Extraordinary. Part 2. V. National Institute for the Orthopedically Handicapped, Kolkata. VI. National Institute of Rehabilitation Training and Research, Cuttack. VII. National Institute for Empowerment of Persons with Multiple Disabilities, Chennai. VII. National Institute for Mental Health and Sciences, Bangalore. IX. Indian Sign Language Research and Training Centre, New Delhi. Members, ex officio. Are members to be nominated by the central government. I. 5 members who are experts in the field of disability and rehabilitation. E. 10 members, as far as practicable, being persons with disabilities, to represent non-governmental organizations concerned with disabilities or disabled persons organizations. Provided that out of the 10 members nominated, at least 5 members shall be women and at least 1 person each shall be from the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. E. Up to 3 representatives of national level chambers of commerce and industry. S. Joint Secretary to the Government of India dealing with the subject of disability policy, Member Secretary, ex officio. 61. 1. Save as otherwise provided under this Act, a member of the Central Advisory Conditions of Board nominated under Clause R of subsection 2 of Section 60 shall hold office for a term of 3 years from the date of his nomination. Service of members. Disqualification. Provided that such a member shall, notwithstanding the expiration of his term, continue to hold office until his successor enters upon his office. 2. The central government may, if it thinks fit, remove any member nominated under Clause R of subsection 2 of Section 60, before the expiry of his term of office after giving him a reasonable opportunity of showing cause against the same. 3. A member nominated under Clause R of subsection 2 of Section 60 may at any time resign his office by writing under his hand addressed to the central government and the seat of the said member shall thereupon becomes vacant. 4. A casual vacancy in the Central Advisory Board shall be filled by a fresh nomination and the person nominated to fill the vacancy shall hold office only for the remainder of the term for which the member in whose place he was so nominated. 5. A member nominated under subclause I or subclause E of Clause R of subsection 2 of Section 60 shall be eligible for renomination. 6. The members nominated under subclause I and subclause E of Clause R of subsection 2 of Section 60 shall receive such allowances as may be prescribed by the central government. 62. 1. No person shall be a member of the Central Advisory Board, who A. is, or at any time has been, adjudged insolvent or has suspended payment of his debts or has compounded with his creditors, or B. is of unsound mind and stands so declared by a competent court, or C. is, or has been, convicted of an offence which, in the opinion of the central government, involves moral turpitude, or D. is, or at any time has been, convicted of an offence under this Act, or E. has so abused his position in the opinion of the central government as a member so as to render his continuance in the office is prejudicial interests of the general public. 2. No order of removal shall be made by the central government under this section unless the member concerned has been given a reasonable opportunity of showing cause against the same. Page 7. Sec. 1. The Gazette of India Extraordinary. 21. 3. Notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 1 or subsection 5 of Section 61, a member who has been removed under this section shall not be eligible for renomination as a member. 63. If a member of the Central Advisory Board becomes subject to any of the vacation of disqualifications specified in Section 62, his seat shall become vacant. 64. The Central Advisory Board shall meet at least once in every 6 months and shall observe such rules of procedure in regard to the transaction of business at its meetings as may be prescribed. 65. 1. Subject to the provisions of this Act, the Central Advisory Board on Disability shall be the national-level consultative and advisory body on disability matters, and shall facilitate the continuous evolution of a comprehensive policy for the empowerment of persons with disabilities and the full enjoyment of rights. 2. In particular and without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing provisions, the Central Advisory Board on Disability shall perform the following functions, namely: advise the central government and the state governments on policies, programs, legislation and projects with respect to disability. B. Develop a national policy to address issues concerning persons with disabilities. C. Review and coordinate the activities of all departments of the government and other governmental and non-governmental organizations which are dealing with matters relating to persons with disabilities. D. Take up the cause of persons with disabilities with the concerned authorities and the international organizations with a view to provide for schemes and projects for the persons with disabilities in the national plans. E. Recommend steps to ensure accessibility, reasonable accommodation, non-discrimination for persons with disabilities vis-a-vis information, services and the built environment and their participation in social life. Monitor and evaluate the impact of laws, policies and programs to achieve full participation of persons with disabilities, and G. Such other functions as may be assigned from time to time by the central government. 66. 1. Every state government shall, by notification, constitute a body to be known as the State Advisory Board on Disability to exercise the powers conferred on, and to perform the function assigned to it, under this Act. 2. The State Advisory Board shall consist of the Minister in charge of the department in the state government dealing with disability matters, chairperson, ex officio. B. The Minister of State or the Deputy Minister in charge of the department in the state government dealing with disability matters, if any, Vice Chairperson, ex officio. C. Secretaries to the state government in charge of the departments of disability affairs, school education, literacy and higher education, women and child development, finance, personnel and training, health and family welfare, rural development, Panchayati Raj, industrial policy and promotion, labor and employment, urban development, housing and urban poverty alleviation, science and technology, information technology, public enterprises, youth affairs and sports, road transport and any other department, which the state government considers necessary, members, ex officio. D. 3 members of the state legislature, of whom 2 shall be elected by the Legislative Assembly and 1 by the Legislative Council, if any, and where there is no Legislative Council, 3 members shall be elected by the Legislative Assembly, members, ex officio. Seats by members. Meetings of the Central Advisory Board on Disability. Functions of Central Board on Advisory, Disability, State Board on Advisory Disability.
Alert. No next page.
থ্যাংক ইউ ফর ওয়াচিং দিস ভিডিও। আমি সুজয় ছিলাম এতক্ষণ আপনাদের সাথে। অবশ্যই পরবর্তী ভিডিওতে আবার আসবো। ততক্ষণ ধন্যবাদ।